Oh, they don't like taking L's at all, do they? You can tell when the white media has been caught on a blind side because they're used to having it all their own way. They're used to having a situation where they just run the boards, and any time that white criminality is getting called out, any time that you have white thieves or white murderers or white racists or white rapists who are in the headlines, well, it's time to go ahead and shift the attention to the all-purpose deflection, the big bad black man. Doesn't matter if it's true or false. The point is we just need to get it out there. We're changing the headlines. We're going to talk about something else now. We're going to change the subject to something else now. Now you got Russell Simmons, who is no ally to the black community. This is a man who has spent the better part of 50 years now deciding that he wanted to be somewhere other than the black community. He wanted to be hanging out with his European friends, and he wanted to be being part of the jet set crew. And this is a man who, as far as he was concerned, if it turned a buck, he didn't care about the content. Oh, and lest we forget, he was also the first person who decided that he was going to trash our beloved ancestor Harriet Tubman. This bastard was the one who laid the groundwork for Cynthia Erivo and Deborah Martin Chase's little mockumentary wannabe biopic, Never Gonna Be. Yeah, Russell Simmons thought that it was hilarious that he would go ahead and portray Harriet Tubman as some sort of bedwench mammy, laying the groundwork for a so-called movie to do the same. Russell Simmons is no friend of the black community. He's done everything he can to get away from the black community, to profit off the black community, and to do God knows what else to help white supremacy as far as getting a dollar goes. But understand, as I said before with R. Kelly and Bill Cosby, this isn't about Russell Simmons. This isn't about R. Kelly. This isn't about Bill Cosby. The white media and white power in general are simply using them as proxies for the black community. And there's a lot of black folks who think to themselves that they're going to get a come up if they help white power to go ahead and forward that agenda. Everybody understands exactly what's going on here. We have gone from having a substantive conversation that could have changed things, talking about the white men who actually run the media, who actually run corporations, and stopping them from sexually preying on women. Now it's gone to, well, here's a black co-worker over here, and here's some black guy who left 10 years ago, and now all of a sudden we've done the pivot. The exact same white men who own the media have decided they're going to weaponize that media for the sake of trying to distract the public. And you got a whole lot of black folks, in particular, you got some black women who have decided that they're going to let themselves be part of the con. But what they didn't think was that there were going to be some black men who actually spoke up after they had the black community, particularly the black media, help to put some steel in their spines. Now, before we go any farther, it needs to be noted that in 2018, you had Russell Simmons talking about reparations, but it wasn't slavery reparations. He ain't interested in that. He was talking about legal reparations from the woman who accused him of rape, and he was even talking about going after her lawyer. Now, that's nice. I like to see that if a black man, well, even if it's one who has no real redeeming value in my eyes, if he sees that you got the white powers that be ganging up on him, it's a matter of send a message. Okay, that's fine. But that wasn't the end of it. He probably thought, well, they're going to get the message after this. Now, the message that they got was that Russell Simmons is going to be a little bit harder to take down. What they realized was, well, we got to first lay the groundwork. That is an absolute prerequisite for warfare. An absolute prerequisite for warfare is to first soften up your opponent with a propaganda offensive. There's WMDs in Iraq. The Viet Cong attacked one of our boats in the Gulf of Tonkin, you see. Saddam Hussein has been noted to have been in contact with members of Al-Qaeda. There always seems to be some phony baloney rationale being used, but that's an absolute prerequisite for war. You got to get the public behind this needless aggressive offensive. And the way that you do that is you got to soften up the target through propaganda. Start saying all sorts of lies, pump it out there so that you go ahead and define the would-be target. The target is black men in general, that we're going to make black men into the face of sexual predation in America because there's too many white guys who are in the headlines. We got to change that image. Too many white guys. We got to get some black ones in there. Doesn't matter if they did it or not, but the point is we're also going to have them go to prison, and then we'll claim this is a victory. This is a victory for women. And there will be a lot of black women who are looking and going, yeah, that's right. Put them black men in prison. That's a victory for us. That's what's going on here. There is an unholy alliance that is formed between the white supremacists and their perennial allies, the black feminists. And if you think the white media is unaware of this or doesn't quite understand what it is that they've been doing, you need look no farther than Vox website. They had some would-be black columnist, Shanita Hubbard. She's scribbling some nonsense because 50 Cent simply said what everybody knew to be the truth. See, they're not used to an atmosphere, to a media environment where there are some black men who decide to speak up when they see other black men being targeted. It's a matter of, nigger, we put some money in your pocket and you know the rules. You're supposed to stay quiet while we go ahead and take down these black men because that's the devil's bargain you entered into. Well, 50 Cent decided he would say something. And the thing is, he's got a platform and a voice loud enough to be heard. And that's the thing that they really hate about it. But this article, talk about proxy on top of proxies. Yeah, they're talking about 50 Cent, but who they're talking to is the black media, because that's who this article's actually about. Now, they, of course, started off with saying that 50 Cent is silencing black women survivors. Yeah, because the white media who refuses to report on the black women who have accused Harvey Weinstein of assaulting them, well, we just don't worry about that. That's not silencing them, that's just piling on. Don't you see? But they, just like with Apple TV and their little would-be documentary about Russell Simmons, you got Vox, who decides that they're going to get a black person out there to tell the lies. They already know that they have to insulate themselves from what is going to be the most obvious thing in the world. Hey, these are some white folk who are putting together some phony baloney propaganda against black men, some anti-black racist nonsense. Well, we're going to use this black person over here. We're going to get this black woman. She'll be the one who scribbles the lies for us, and that way we'll be insulated. We can point and say, why, you can't say that this is the white media piling on. You can't say that this is anti-black propaganda. Why, here's a black woman who we paid to write this. And the first thing she gets angry about is that 50 Cent, and I don't know if he was paying attention to what it is, the little graphic that I put up some months ago when the first them hashtag was created, where I pointed out all of the white men who had been accused and even admitted to sexual assault, all sorts of sexual predation, and how every damn one of them has walked. Not a one of them's in jail. And meanwhile, you got the white media trying to obsess over R. Kelly as if he is the only person in America who's been accused of any sort of sexual impropriety. Now, 50 Cent, he decided to put together his own graphic very much similar to the one that the black media had. And it made the point. It just goes to show you that if you want to skewer white supremacy, you don't go to the mush mouths and the square jaws. They don't know what the right angle is to use. They don't know what the right dagger is to drive home. They don't know and will never know because they're agents of white supremacy. You can't go to Roly-Poly Martin and the old dead black media. You can't go to Joy Reid. You can't go to Charlemagne the Fraud, Angela Rye with lettuce and tomatoes on the side, and DJ Penis Envy, and think that you're going to be getting any answers. These people they're paid by white supremacy to cover for white supremacy. You want to know what the actual right way is to go after white supremacy, you got to take your notes from the black media. We have refined the art of being able to sharpen up just the right bullet to shoot at white supremacy's heart and to put them down with a single shot. So 50 Cent, who I believe is, even if he doesn't admit it, he certainly has come, either he or someone he knows has come into contact with what the black media does, and he decided to go ahead and copy and paste what we did. And he put the caption underneath, you think Oprah don't notice how this S is playing out? Yeah, it makes the point. What about, hey, look at this. Weinstein walks. Kevin Spacey walks. Harvey Weinstein walks. Donald Trump walks. Oh, but the two black men, they've been in jail. Cosby's in jail. R. Kelly's already been behind bars. In other words, somebody's pointing out, hey, there's a racial double standard here. Well, in comes the white media's paid black bootlick to say, no, there's nothing wrong with this, nothing wrong with this at all. And Shanita Hubbard does not deny what's going on. She doesn't say that's not true. Why, you had Harvey Weinstein's been in prison for years, and Donald Trump went to jail, and Kevin Spacey went to jail. And she doesn't deny any of it. She doesn't deny that black men are being used as a proxy to get attention off the white men, who the entire point is to reestablish the social environment where if a white man's accused of illegality, it doesn't stick. He is not to be punished. Doesn't matter how much evidence you got, his white skin means that he's immune from punishment, which is the entire point that 50 Cent was making. If you're going to be talking about sexual predation, then it has to be sexual predation across the board. It can't just be, well, only when we're using Bill Cosby. Because here's the thing, for the black feminists out there who are just too dense to get it, the same way they didn't give a damn about R. Kelly 10 years ago and didn't care about Bill Cosby 3 years ago until it was time to get the heat off of the white guys, they're not going to give a damn about R. Kelly or Bill Cosby or anybody else 5 minutes from now if this whole social environment starts to freeze over again and the social atmosphere of permissibility, complete and thorough, unquestioned permissibility for white male predation returns. If we go back to the same old, then you'll see the white media who was previously very interested. I mean, they'll be partially interested because it's never the wrong time to put a black man in prison. That's a guilty pleasure that never gets old. But the thing is, you ain't going to see all of this documentary fever that the white media's been doing. You ain't going to be seeing all that. They will very gladly decide that, well, there's something else to be talked about. All of a sudden, you're not going to see this flood of documentaries and everybody, we got to do a documentary about Cosby and a documentary about R. Kelly and just a documentary about Russell Simmons. They're going to lose interest again because that's the whole point. These are distractions. And these shea butter bootlicks, they know it. As far as they're concerned, they're getting in good with white power. Now, while Shanita Hubbard started off talking about 50 Cent and Oprah and Russell Simmons, it wasn't long into the article at all before she finally pivoted to what she really was going to talk about, because she knows why it is that 50 Cent found the courage to say what he said. Just like with Colin Kaepernick, these guys are paying attention to the black media because the black media is the only ones out here speaking this real stuff and actually getting it right and giving talking points and a particular point of view that we know is effective. People understand, hey, these guys get it. They're right. And we're giving people the verbiage. We're giving people the words. We're helping give them the focus so that they can slay the white media's lies dead. And that's the thing that the white media fears. That's why Vox put this garbage out there. Now, Shanita Hubbard, she decided that she was, after 50 Cent calls out Oprah, she decides she's going to scribble, "This was the same sentiment heard prior to the release of the surviving R. Kelly documentary earlier this year. So-called Kelly supporters created first them to seemingly imply that blah, blah, blah." But look at that. There it is. That was the point she was trying to reach. Everything else was just a preamble for that. This is letting the black media know, yeah, we saw what you guys did, and we see the direct correlation between what the black media said online and what happened with 50 Cent. We see the direct correlation between the two. He ain't no part of the black media. 50 Cent ain't a part of the black media any more than Russell Simmons is. But it just goes to show they understand there are voices out here that are saying this stuff, and we are loud enough to be heard by certain individuals who are loud enough to be heard by everyone. And this is black people calling out the white media's effery and pointing out, hey, we're kind of taking our eye off the ball, aren't we? And the white media's going, that doesn't matter. What matters is we're going to protect black women and girls. How about the black women and girls who were sexually assaulted by Harvey Weinstein? We're going to protect them. We're going to go ahead and... When does Harvey Weinstein go to prison? Because this slow walk to an acquittal or to have the charges dropped, everyone can see it happening right in front of us. We see what's supposed to be happening here. It's supposed to be done in a way that makes the public more or less either resign themselves to the idea that, hey, Brock Turner, Harvey Weinstein, Jeffrey Epstein, well, if you're white, that just means that you walk. And if you're black, well, those are the real problems. You see, the reason that Bill Cosby's in prison is because he's the biggest sexual predator in America. And of course, Shanita Hubbard goes on to keep repeating the first them hashtag. She wants to make it clear this is a matter of, let's make sure people understand these are the bad guys. The white media heard what it is that we've said, and they've seen what the result of that has been. And what's happened is, as the Los Angeles Times was kind enough to give a timeline of sorts, but it was mostly just a thinly veiled attack piece. They're just raging and they're lashing out because of the fact that they thought they had Mammy Oprah toeing the line. And what happened was the heat got too hot because people simply pointed out the most obvious thing of all. They pointed out that clearly what was going on with this so-called documentary was it was nothing more than a thinly veiled attack piece against black men. It's just one big distraction, and they don't want their propaganda offensive to be defined as that. They know that these documentaries, this documentary fever that the white media has, it ain't got a damn thing to do with R. Kelly, ain't got a damn thing to do with Russell Simmons, because there's nothing about R. Kelly that has not been said for over 20 years now. So why is it all of a sudden we got to have documentaries and we're going to make a miniseries out of it? Where's the Harvey Weinstein miniseries? Where's the Jeffrey Epstein miniseries? Where's the Kevin Spacey miniseries? Where's the Donald Trump miniseries? Donald Trump is president of the United States and he's admitted to his predation. Hey, where's the Les Moonves? The Les Moonves, or as I like to call him, Molester Moonves documentary series. When's Lifetime going to get around to that one? See, when it came to Michael Jackson, they treated the pack of lies that HBO and Sky News were putting out, treated those guys like the bill of the ball. Oh, this is gospel truth. Yes, totally, completely, thoroughly fabricated. Not a word of it is true, but we want people to see it anyway because we need to get this out there. Meanwhile, you had the recent movie Bombshell that actually dealt with real sexual predation, not lies, over at Fox News, dealing specifically with Roger Ailes, and for some damn reason, that movie has not been the belle of the ball. You don't see Sundance saying, we got to put these guys on. They're not trying to publicize the movie Bombshell. Hey, it's got big name talent in it. Nicole Kidman, Charlize psychologically torturing her captured black child, Theron. That's sick piece of work. You see, the white media is not trying to promote that. Yeah, the movie came out, but it's also been buried. It's the wrong message. Who put this crap out here? Somebody was sleeping at the wheel. That's what happened there. But it's not until you read the Los Angeles Times little hit piece that they go ahead and give some information that is strangely telling. It tells me a lot when I look at this timeline, because this is the white media trying to put a pretty little spin on all this. It was back in March that Apple TV announced that they had a partnership with Oprah Winfrey, which means that she's going to lend her black skin to the white media's lies, because that's what she has to do now. She's basically a media prostitute whoring herself to whomever comes along, because, hey, after those cattlemen went ahead and dragged her into court, she understood, yeah, it can come to an end real fast. If white power wants to bring you down, Oprah, they can do it real fast. That's what they did. They went ahead and taught her a lesson. And after that, it's been yes a boss ever since from her. Not that it ever wasn't, but it's a matter of after that, she really put on the tap dance shoes for massa. And she makes sure to bake up a batch of smoking hot butter biscuits every day. Oprah Winfrey has just been America's favorite mammy ever since the Cattle Ranchers Association took her to court. They sent a message and it was one, she clearly got the message. And Apple TV is letting her know, well, Oprah, if you want us to leave you alone, you got to get out here and help us sell the soap. Don't worry about what the documentary is. And I don't think Oprah Winfrey even knew or cared. It's just a matter of she's got some white moneyed interests. And it's the same way it was on her show. You think Oprah Winfrey was the one writing anything? No. What happened is her white producers and her white executives, they told her, here's what we're talking about today. And the same thing goes with Discovery Communications. She is their puppet. She gets out there and the white powers that be have got their hand up her 10-foot wide behind. And she'll just parrot whatever the hell it is they tell her to say. And that's what she's there for. Oprah's going to be our new front woman selling these lies for us. And the first lie is going to be about these big bad black men and how they are the sexual predators of America. That's what it was about. You look at the way that the LA Times reports on this. Originally, the title of the would-be documentary about sexual harassment was called Toxic Labor. Yeah, but the problem was this wasn't about labor. This was about black men. So we got to make sure the title's a little more specific than that, because that was back in March when the title was Toxic Labor. But it turns out that now it had to change. So it was a couple of months ago that the title got changed to On the Record. Now look at the way the Los Angeles Times writes about this. It wasn't until winter that specific details about toxic labor, which would be renamed On the Record, emerged. It wasn't until winter that the specific details about the documentary emerged. So what does that tell you? What that tells you is, suggests strongly Oprah Winfrey, not that Oprah Winfrey would be opposed to it, but what it tells you is this was the white media putting this crap out there, and they wanted Oprah to be their mascot. She was going to be the black face to endorse these white media lies. That's what this tells us. She didn't know what the hell she was endorsing and didn't have to know. White Daddy was telling her, this is what you're going to get out there and help sell the soap for. And she said, yes, boss. I sure is. So that's what happened here. Oprah Winfrey didn't even know what the hell documentary, what the hell the subject was. She didn't even know the specifics of it. But she did know that she was going to get out there and she was going to present it, and she was defending it to the hilt until what she saw was that there was this black groundswell coming from the grassroots that pointed out, Oprah, we see what the hell it is you're trying to do. You're out here trying to cover for the white corporate powers that be, who you are now depending upon for every crumb of your daily bread. You don't want them to give you the Cosby treatment. So as far as you're concerned, if you want for the subject not to turn to Oprah Winfrey's School for Girls in South Africa, and to turn to Oprah Winfrey's long-standing friendship with Harvey Weinstein, if you don't help cover for White Daddy, Harvey Weinstein goes down, well, hell, why shouldn't they take Oprah Winfrey down? Because after all, you don't really have anybody in America who's comparable to Harvey Weinstein except Oprah Winfrey. And don't you know, the same pathetic pack of lies, the same script that they were using against Cosby and are now using against Russell Simmons and using against R. Kelly. Powerful black men, powerful black men is a freaking contradiction in terms in America. It's an oxymoron. But it is one that they'll go ahead and use against Oprah Winfrey when the time comes. So she already knows. You got to protect White Daddy because, well, you've been carrying water for them so long, they go down. They're going to have to try to counter with somebody bigger. Well, maybe they can get Barack Obama on something. Maybe not, but they can definitely get Oprah on something. They can make that into a thing, and she knows that. She knows that. But this so-called documentary, this thinly veiled propaganda piece, this big budget distraction that Apple TV was putting together, the details about it were not even known until 3/4 of a year after Oprah Winfrey had initially announced it. Think about that. She didn't even know what the hell she was out here pushing. She didn't even know what the hell the details were. Tells you a lot about Oprah now, don't it? But it also tells you this is how it works when you got yourself a tool. The tool ain't got to know nothing. If they knew anything, they wouldn't be a tool. And we all know what happened after the details about this so-called documentary came out. Everybody looked and said, okay, this is R. Kelly all over again. This is Bill Cosby all over again. It's just another attempt to make sure it's going to be wall-to-wall coverage. Any black man who's accused of something, we're going to make that the trial of the century. It's the most important thing going on in America right now. And what happened was Sundance was proud to say, we're putting this on. Yeah, we helped to push the lies against Michael Jackson, and now we're going to be doing it against Russell Simmons. They are so clumsy. These people are so brazen and blatant with the anti-black racism. They're using the exact same MO, the exact same process over and over again with the exact same people. It's blatantly obvious that there's a program at work here because we see the exact same folk over and over again. They are being so in your face about it, and that's part of the reason why they're doing it. I've always told you that part of white supremacy is to subject the target population to a perpetual breaking process. And part of that is, yeah, you can see that it's racist, that it's pointed against you. You can see the double standard, and yeah, that's the way it is. That's what this is meant to prove. This is meant to condition the public that, yes, there is a blatant racial double standard where white men accused of a crime are concerned. If you're black, you don't have to be proven to have done anything. The fact that you were accused guarantees you're going to jail. Meanwhile, Matt Lauer has not even been charged. You got a woman who has accused this man of sodomy, and he said, well, I had sex with her, but it wasn't as bad as all that. Why don't we see DAs coast to coast tripping over their shoelaces trying to put charges on them for the same reason that no one's trying to put charges on Les Moonves or Louis C.K.? You don't see anybody saying, well, Kevin Spacey may have walked, but we think the charges are sound and we're not going to stop. I'm going to run on the platform of putting this dangerous sexual predator Kevin Spacey behind bars. Nobody's doing that. Rob Lowe is still free as a bird. I mean, you may not be able to get Roman Polanski, but freaking Rob Lowe is doing TV shows and movies. And this guy committed statutory rape. Yeah, but there's no documentaries about Rob Lowe now, are there? And you don't see anybody having documentary fever about Roman Polanski. Yeah, you had that one documentary, but you see how that's been allowed to fall down the memory hole. Whoops, too many white men getting accused. Let's go find a nigger to hang. But after Sundance went ahead and tipped their hand and everybody looked and said, okay, this is the same group of the same usual suspects carrying out the same scam. Then you had 50 Cent, who decided he would speak up, but the Los Angeles Times says he targeted Oprah Winfrey. No, he didn't target Oprah Winfrey. Oprah Winfrey, Apple TV, and the white media have been targeting black people, particularly black men. That's the only targeting going on. So here they are saying that if you even speak up about what are obvious lies, if you even call out a lie, why, you're targeting Oprah Winfrey. You're targeting her. Now, is this supposed to be a news article or is it supposed to be an internet comment hit piece? The answer is both. The articles that the white media puts out are nothing more than thinly veiled anti-black racist screeds. That's all they are. And Russell Simmons, after 50 Cent spoke up, Russell Simmons looked and said, maybe, well, my white pals are not speaking up for me, and somebody said something, and no, I feel like I can speak up for myself now. Well, I got to do something. Well, then he decided that he would put up his little plea, and pathetic it was, saying, Oprah, we've been friends for so many years, and how come y'all doing this to me? He knows exactly what's going on. And the white media does too. They called his Instagram post a meltdown. Now, there was absolutely nothing that was unhinged or incoherent or otherwise unstable about what he said. There was no rambling. It was very concise. It listed the points, but it's a matter of the white media's going on. When these niggers decide that they're going to actually speak out against being railroaded, when we're railroading you, nigger, you're not supposed to say anything about it. But what happened was he spoke up. Because 50 Cent had spoken up, because the black media had spoken up. They see a chain reaction happening here. You got to do something about this black media because they're starting to put a spine into some of these spineless Negroes. So Los Angeles Times calls it a meltdown. Again, is this supposed to be an article or a it's supposed to be an editorial? Which one is it? Is it an article or an editorial? Well, obviously an editorial. But the Los Angeles Times doesn't call it that. This is what you get when you deal with the white media. If you're getting your news from the white media, what you're getting is nothing more than a nonstop asinine editorial. But it was after that, and apparently Oprah Winfrey consulting with some outside sources, which, by the way, if you believe that, you're out your damn mind. Oprah Winfrey was seeing that she already saw what happened, that over and over again, doesn't matter if it was Michael Jackson, doesn't matter if it was Bill Cosby. Every time white media needed a black face, a prominent black face, to put the seal of approval to go ahead and certify, this black man who we're raking over the coals, this isn't racist, they would always drag out Oprah. And what was happening is the black media spoke out about it. People are seeing it. They saw the pattern. And Oprah Winfrey, she's now a damaged tool. They're not going to be able to get Oprah Winfrey to put the mammy stamp of approval on the latest white media lynching of a black man. They're not going to be able to get her to do that because every time she shows up, everybody's going to be like, man, every time that a black man is just accused of something, no matter how flimsy the accusation is, Oprah Winfrey can always be counted on to say, yep, it's the God's honest truth. Meanwhile, her good friend Harvey Weinstein, when she's not kissing on the guy or sucking on his earlobe, she ain't got a damn thing to say about that. Yeah, Oprah Winfrey's damaged goods now. And Oprah knows this is a very perilous position for her because when white supremacy is done with its tools, they break their tools. But the thing is, there's nothing she can do. To put her out there in front of the cameras would be completely and thoroughly counterproductive. They'll have to go another way. But the so-called filmmakers behind this propaganda piece, they were sitting here doing the typical white splaining. Everybody knows exactly why Oprah decided she was going to bail out, because she had been called out by the black community's true voice, the new voices of black media. And as a result of that, what happened was the narrative had been disrupted and broken up. So here you got these two propagandists, these two anti-black racists, who have decided that they were going to try to white-splain what happened here. Well, revealing hard truths is never easy. Revealing hard truths, that's the thing. These are not hard truths. These are flimsy lies. Hard truths, black rape culture is what that's code for. Revealing hard truths is never easy. Especially if it's about white sexual predators. That seems to be the hardest truth of all to reveal. Where's the Kevin Spacey documentary? I'll wait. Anybody know where that Matt Lauer documentary's at? You would think that his pals over at NBC, you would think that Rachel Maddow would be the first one on this, or Joy Reid, but instead they ain't saying a damn thing about it. And neither is CBS. But then again, CBS is not about to say anything about Les Moonves, and neither is the rest of the white media. See how they circle the wagons for one another? You would think that at the very least they would be talking about it, but they're not. You would think that they would be actually demanding accountability in the news media, but they're not. Same reason why they were not publicizing or promoting that movie Bombshell, because if you're going to be talking about white men who are engaged in sexual predation, well, that's off code. We're not trying to promote that. We're not trying to make that a thing. Revealing hard truths is never easy. See how patronizing and pedantic that is? How condescending that is. Well, revealing hard truths is never easy. You see, black men are just these rape-happy thugs, and I know that telling you that black men are evil is never easy, but that is the truth. No, revealing the truth is very easy. That's what we did to Oprah Winfrey. We revealed the truth. What's hard is concealing the truth. Concealing Jeffrey Epstein's sexual predation, Harvey Weinstein's predation. Deciding there's going to be hands-off Mo Lester Moonves and Matt Lauer. See, that's difficult. Trying to distract the people's attention off of the sexual predators and onto individuals who are not the brains behind the sexual predation culture in America. That's hard to do. That takes a lot of hard work. You got to be coming up with the propaganda on a daily basis. You got to put a lot of money into that. See, the black media didn't need millions of dollars to expose Oprah. We didn't need any documentary that's taken a year to put together to be able to stop the white lies in their tracks and call it out and expose it. Revealing the truth is easy. We did it. But these clowns go on to say that they were going to give courage to the women so we could address the sexual abuse in the music industry. Well, if you're going to talk about sexual abuse in the music industry, there's lots of individuals you can talk about. You didn't have to start with Russell Simmons. There's plenty of white men who, by the way, are the ones who actually own the record labels. Russell Simmons is at best a mascot for the white paymasters back of him. But if you want to talk about the music industry, then you need to talk about the music industry. But this is not about the music industry. This is about trying to keep up a steady drumbeat of black men do this, black men do this. Oh, here's another black man who's been accused. More on R. Kelly. That's what this is really about. This is not about addressing sexual abuse. This is about concealing and protecting sexual abuse. There is nobody who can truthfully say that R. Kelly came in the room and I just knew that I'd never heard anything about R. Kelly and improper behavior of females. If you want to try to play that game, you got to go somewhere else. You can say what you want about R. Kelly, but what no one can say is, well, nobody knew. Problem is, when it comes to white sexual predation, the law is protecting them. That's what happened with Cy Vance. Cy Vance was protecting Harvey Weinstein, and he's still doing it today. See, when R. Kelly gets accused, there's no DA who's waiting to get a $10,000 envelope full of cash from R. Kelly's lawyer. There are no customs and immigration officials who are waiting to help Bill Cosby skip the country like Roman Polanski, and then they will also make sure that he remains a free man by helping him get to a non-extradition treaty country. See, that's what happens when a black man gets accused. Russell Simmons doesn't get to, Bill Cosby, he doesn't get the Jeffrey Epstein treatment. See, they're not letting Bill Cosby only have to go to jail for 8 hours to sleep, and the other 16 hours he can go back to his mansion. That's what they did with Jeffrey Epstein. And they had just a dozen or more girls that they accused Jeffrey Epstein of a few years back when he was first charged. And yet what happened was they gave him a sweetheart deal. No, forget about a sweetheart deal. I would love to say that it was a slap on the wrist. No, what happened was the U.S. attorneys got on their freaking hands and knees and brought out the knee pad for Epstein. Nobody is comparing and contrasting how the black men who are accused of sexual predation are treated vis-a-vis their white counterparts. But 50 Cent brought that up, and they're like, "Oh, we better go. That was a bomb. We might want to move on. We do not want that to be the topic of conversation. We need to move along." So Oprah Winfrey goes, "You know what? I'm going to withdraw from this. Well, the problem is bigger than just Mammy Oprah. The problem is that the white media is using their huge reserves of cash in order to put out nonstop anti-black racist propaganda 24/7 for the sake of distracting the public away from the sexual predators who happen to be the white men who own corporations and run the corporations and got people's jobs in their hands." No, all sexual predators are not treated equally. Some sexual predators get put in jail for as long as possible, while others only have to show up for about 8 hours a day for a few months, and then they go home every day. That's not even house arrest. Give me a break. And nobody thinks that this is outrageous. Well, to continue, the Los Angeles Times reports that On the Record is still going to debut on the 25th at Sundance. By the way, that's on next Saturday when this Pack of Lies is going to debut. And so Sundance is clearly showing that they are going to be the go-to platform for any anti-black racist documentary, so-called documentary that you want to put out there. Hey, you got a pack of lies that you want to publicize about black men? Take it to Sundance. They'll put out the press releases and tell everybody, you've got to see this. But this Pack of Lies is still going to debut at Sundance. Truth be damned, facts be damned. And as for the woman who decided that she was going to allow herself to be used as a so-called victim for the sake of promoting this stuff, this Dixon woman, what she said is, "I am being silenced." Now, you just saw that the documentary is still coming out. This is not a woman who's been silenced at all. The documentary is still going to be debuting. So what does she mean by "I am being silenced"? They lie every time they open their freaking mouths. "I am being silenced." Yeah, your documentary is still going to be shown to the world. The Pack of Lies is still going to be shown to the world on schedule as planned. And that's being silenced. Then she says the broader community is being intimidated. Well, that's two lies for the price of one. First of all, the broader community is the one who stood up to these lies. So she's trying to talk for a community that she herself is attempting to put a gag into the mouths of. She's trying to muzzle the black community, and now she, in the same breath, wants to claim she's speaking for us. The community is being intimidated. No, the community is being emboldened and encouraged by the black media. That's what's happening. The broader community is standing up and speaking up. We were being intimidated by the same massive multinational corporations that this Dixon woman is carrying water for. But what happened was we've discovered our spine thanks to the black media, and now we're standing up and stepping forward. We're challenging the lies and challenging the liars. And finally, Dixon goes on to say, the most powerful black woman in the world is being intimidated. First of all, Oprah Winfrey said that she wasn't being intimidated. She said that she wouldn't be pressured by by Russell Simmons or be pressured by the people who wanted her to make the documentary. She wouldn't be pressured one way or the other. So if Oprah Winfrey says that, hey, it's got to be gospel truth, because after all, she didn't say that Oprah Winfrey was questionable or being intimidated before now, but now all of a sudden that Oprah says, you know what? I've discovered common sense for 5 seconds because I got called out. And I think I'm going to try to save what's left of what might be the last vestige of my credibility on paper. Now all of a sudden she's being intimidated. Yeah, because, if you're not pushing the white lies, then that means that you're being cowardly. If you're not getting out there and repeating what the white media tells you to say, then that means that you're lying. Meanwhile, if you say, this stuff is not true, none of this stuff is true. Nobody says, well, that's Oprah Winfrey's truth, and you can't question her truth. We have to believe women. Well, do we believe Oprah Winfrey? Oprah Winfrey said that this documentary misses the mark. So we're still believing women, right? So this is just a case of the white media, white supremacy, trips over their own shoelaces because the black media was there undoing those shoelaces. We were the ones who were throwing all sorts of oil on the ground in front of the white media. They slipped and fell flat on their behinds. And the pattern has now been set. It has been established that the things we say here percolate and rise, and they are heard by other people. And what needs to be known is nobody's thinking this 50 Cent's going to be coming to the rescue for the black media or for the black community any more than Russell Simmons has. But the one thing that needs to be stated, whether it's Oprah Winfrey or whether it's Vox or whether it's the Los Angeles Times, the one thing that this sordid little episode has confirmed for us is that the bastards hear us. And oh yeah, they fear us. You don't need any of these black celebrities to be able to put our issues to the forefront. We are more than capable of doing it for ourselves. And if we don't do it, who the hell is? 50 Cent's pretty much, he's made his little statement. As far as he's concerned, he ain't crusading to stop the railroading of black men. He made his statement and he's done. Okay, fine. Meanwhile, Tarana Burke, she's not running around saying, well, Harvey Weinstein has been accused. Yeah, the scam is being exposed, but it's not being exposed by 50 Cent. He came on late. It's nice that he acted as a force multiplier, but he showed up late. And he's inconsistent about it. The black media is beating this drum, and that's the reason why they're scared. And they should be. Because if they don't have the ability to deflect and distract onto black men, well, what that means is, as they've seen with all of these police who have been murdering black people, what's going to happen is there's going to be a whole lot of white people who previously were immune from law who will suddenly find themselves in prison. That's what this is about. This is about maintaining white legal immunity, and the black media is determined to destroy it. And you know what? That's not going to be just the result of some half-baked documentary. We don't need Oprah to push that. We're pushing this one ourselves, and what we've shown is we can have the results. The most powerful black woman in the world, give me a break. Oprah Winfrey is completely and thoroughly powerless, and she knows that. She has no power at all because Oprah Winfrey has no spine. She has no principles. She has no guts. She has no nerve. Oprah Winfrey was a mammy in the freaking 80s. She stayed a mammy in the 90s, a mammy in the aughts, and she's still a mammy today. She has cowered in the face of white supremacy, and now the black media's got her on the run. And we got her fellow travelers in the white media on the run as well. Family, this is the level of resolve and persistence that we have to show. They can try to turn black people into the face of criminality, but they can only get away with it if we remain silent. You cannot be waiting and sitting hoping that somebody else is going to do the heavy lifting. Don't be thinking there's 50 Cent showing up anymore. As far as he's concerned, he's done his work is done. And Russell Simmons, he's not going to have a come to Jesus moment. Hell, he was carrying water for white supremacy and slandering our ancestors before slandering our ancestors was cool. Only thing Russell Simmons wants, he wants to be led back into the walled city. He's like, come on, I want to get back with them non-black women, and I still want to be able to snort cocaine off of hookers behind, and I want to be able to hang out with the rest of the jet set crowd. Y'all can't lock me out. I like being an honorary member of, well, the mascot of the white corporations. I like that. I kind of like that gig. That's what Russell Simmons is fighting for. He's fighting for what little access he thought he had. He's not ready to be shown out of the party yet. But the thing is, it doesn't matter what white media circles Russell Simmons is or is not allowed into. He's learned a lesson too, and that lesson is that when the white powers that be come for you, the only thing that can possibly save your black behind, and Russell Simmons is black whether he wants to acknowledge it or not, the only thing that's going to save you is going to be those black grassroots. See, if the black grassroots speak up for you, then you got a chance. In fact, it's the only chance you got. Because we're not intimidated. Oprah Winfrey is. And that Shanika Hubbard woman, she's damn sure intimidated. And the white media is intimidated, but the black media, never scared.